Hi there. So I got something in the mail that I wanted to share with people because it was something that I've always kind of known about, but I really didn't know about it, if you know what I mean. And it was a calendar. Um, and it was on working canines and mostly law enforcement in vests, right? And so what most of you maybe don't know, you know that I'm an animal Reiki teacher. You know I love animals, that I try to live a compassionate, cruelty-free life. And that's really important to me. But I guess it was at least 16, 19 years ago when I left law enforcement. So I worked in law enforcement for 13 years. Now, I wasn't a sworn officer by any means. I was a videographer for them. So I maybe had the best of both worlds, if that's possible. I got to see the inside of law enforcement because I would go to crime scenes and record those. But I also got to continue working with the general public. I went into schools. I did crime prevention. I got to speak to children. I got to speak to just people in the neighborhood. I did the Neighborhood Watch program. So I didn't have all the negativity that so many officers deal with on a daily basis. I had some of that. So I got to see the good, and I also got to see some of the bad that's involved in that. And I did that for 13 years. Now, at the department I was at, it was out of state, it wasn't in Las Vegas. We did not have a working canine. So I really didn't know that much about them. When I moved to Vegas, I also worked for, I guess, almost 14 years as a fire inspector. And again, you're enforcing codes, you're doing inspections, and we did have at the fire department arson dogs. And so that's where I got to know them a little bit better. And I always thought that would be the most amazing job in the world because you would have your partner with you every day. You'd go to work, your dog would be with you. They're your partners, and wouldn't that be fabulous? I thought about even joining FEMA so I could have a dog. But I think there's a part of me that always goes, well, what if I didn't agree with where they wanted me to send the dog or what they wanted them to do? Because many times in those situations, the dogs are tools. So I knew that probably wasn't a good choice for me. And I really didn't think too much of it until this calendar came. I always thought that when an agency has a dog, they pay for everything. They make sure the dog is protected. They make sure the handler has training. And that isn't always the case. Many times, the handler pays for much of it, for the training, the food, the vet bills, the vests, any special equipment. And it's not as cheap as you might think. If we have pets, we know how expensive it can be just to buy food or take them to the clinic if they're sick. So imagine having to probably go to the vet more often to get them the equipment they need to protect them. And they do need protection. Unfortunately, these dogs have become a target. And, for the criminals, it's a status thing if you can take them out. And I looked it up, and in 2018, 28 dogs died in the line of duty. 10 of those were from gunfire. We never hear about that. We know that these dogs are out there. We know they're working. We see the patrol cars that say K9 on the back of them. But we don't always hear about when they sacrifice their life protecting us or their partner and the valuable work they do. And what I love about this calendar is that this organization is a nonprofit, and they buy vests for dogs, working dogs, law enforcement and other working dogs. And they're not the only one out there. I Googled it, and there was quite a few organizations that actually bought vests you could donate to, and they would buy vests for the working dogs. And of course, with the calendar, you get a picture, the partners together. And you know what I really love? They talk about this. So this is a 4-year-old German Shepherd here. He loves playing in the water and snow and finding drugs. His nicknames are Chewbacca, Fabio, Hollywood, and Velcro Dog because he loses his mind when he's separated from his dad. Now, maybe I'm the only one who had this image that these working dogs, these law enforcement dogs, were just tough cops and they were serious all the time. But it turns out that maybe that's not the case. Yes, they are working dogs. For example, right here, Chandler, 6-year-old German Shepherd. And he loves to work. They've had over 900 hours of training that they've completed to do this job. He loves walks, socializing with the police officers, getting belly rubs, like most dogs. He doesn't like to admit he sleeps with his favorite blanket. He's a dog. So yes, there are these powerful dogs doing this amazing job, putting their lives in danger just like our officers. And yet, they like to sleep with their blankie. And there's 12, one for every month. And you get to meet the dogs. This one's great with kids. She dislikes rain and tiptoes on wet surfaces. Haikyo, not fond of sitting still or having his nails trimmed. Can any of us relate to that? If we have dogs, I think we can. And it just goes on. Oh, I love this one. Apache, he's a patrol dog, 500 hours of training. Loves playing fetch, practicing decoy apprehension, and he dislikes loud noises and thunderstorms. He's also not a fan of the robot vacuum. So if you have one of those vacuums that is a little robot and your dogs don't like them, they're in good company because this little dog doesn't either. So I just think it's important to bring this up. There's wonderful stories about all of this. And this just happens to be from Vested Interest in K9s, Inc. And I think it's important. You know, I would ask all of you to Google this organization or just Google Bulletproof Vests for dogs and see what comes up. Because a bullet and stab protection vest costs about $1,000, and it has a 5-year warranty. After that, it's not safe. It won't necessarily protect because the material breaks down. And I didn't know that. Figured once they had a vest, they had a vest. But that's not the case. It's the same with vests for people. And, you know, so many of the dogs are out there working without them. They need protection. They're putting their lives on the line. And these organizations are doing something really amazing. So they provide the essential equipment for the cars, for the vests, any of that, that the law enforcement agencies don't have the budget for. And so look it up. This is fabulous. What a wonderful organization. And there's other organizations out there doing the same thing, protecting our working dogs. And that's important. You can also get additional calendars of this calendar, or you can make a donation and maybe get the calendar. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. Google it. Bulletproof Vests for Canine. Find out what the situation is, because these animals, these dogs are so well trained. They're so amazing. They love to work and they dedicate their life and they put their life in jeopardy to protect their partner, to protect people. There was one dog in here. Let me see if I can find it really quick. Is this it? Yeah. So this one right here, this little girl, her and her partner, right? Isn't that wonderful? So she is Mika. She's a 3-year-old black lab retriever certified in tracking, man trailing, and firearms detection. On her first day of work, Mika tracked and located a missing 8-year-old boy. Wherever there's water, she's in it, unless it's a bath. Her biggest dislike is the vacuum cleaner, and she will try to eat it. So they're still dogs, and I love that about them. And yet, look how they are helping humans on this planet. So they need vests. I didn't know that, but I'm going to be making a donation today. And I hope you will consider it too, because the job that these working dogs do is really important and they help us. So that's all I really wanted to bring to your attention. And it doesn't have to be this organization. There's others out there. Just do some Googling, do some research, find the one that resonates with you, and make a donation and maybe save a dog's life. It's, I think it would be a really good feeling. And how could we look at these faces and know that they're just like dogs when they're not working? They like blankets and hate the vacuum. And so they're just like our dogs. And if our dogs were out there doing this kind of work, we would want them protected. So, Canine Bulletproof Vests. Look that up and see if you have it. You know, if you have the money, maybe make a donation. See if you can do something to help these wonderful working dogs. There's a whole bunch of them. So that they can keep doing their job safely. And that's all I wanted to talk about at this time. I guess I need to go make my donation, and I hope you will too. All right. Have a great day.